Obviously, you don't have to go back to this screen every time that you beat an act. You can't actually press Y after beating an act to just go straight to the next act, which is convenient. And it's good that they actually tell you can do that. You just get launched straight up by those things. It's pretty convenient, controls-wise. Another thing that's really convenient is these cards. Because this is basically a life-grinding level. Like, because just walking past these cards and flipping them over is acting as a slot machine. And there's no... It's not like you can get a bunch of Eggman and get inconvenienced by it. Like, this is the best way to grind for lives, because you keep your lives after you restart a level. Like, if you just pause and choose restart, you keep those lives. Which isn't very intuitive, since, you know, it's like Rush Adventure and stuff. That trick wouldn't work. You wouldn't keep your lives until you beat the level. I hate those cards, because those card platforms, they can't be jumped into from below, which is really tedious and hard to get used to. Like, you have to jump at them from the side or from above, which makes it tedious to get onto them, especially when there's a huge amount of them in one area, and you have to platform on them, and they suddenly spin around so quickly. They're the most frustrating gimmick of this whole level. Well, this one is also pretty frustrating. You can easily get too far to the right of it, even though you're homing attacking a whole bunch. And like, it's tedious how you have to homing attack it 3 times. And it just drops you right into that enemy. It's like in Sonic Blast in Blue Marine Zone, it just drops you on top of the crap. It's not as bad though, but yeah, I really like this level. This is, aside from the end section, which sort of ruins it, this is one of my favorite levels from the game. God, I hate these things. Like, it's so cheap they have to deal with them in such a narrow corridor where you're focusing on avoiding being crushed by these things. In my first take of this level, I got crushed by these things, because I was impatient and stuff. But again, I had to do a second take because my controller completely disconnected, and I wasn't able to beat the level, so I had to power the game off. Casino Street signs in the background of the level actually have chili dogs on them. Which makes sense, because it's a reference to how chili dogs is Sonic's favorite food. God, I hate this section of the level. Those stupid spinning cards, they spin so fast. And it almost feels like you have to jump before you expect. Like, why is there an entire... It's like, at the end of this level, there's a whole bunch of these spinning cards over a huge bottomless pit. That's the first bottomless pit of the level. Of the game, in fact. Well, like, you can play the zones in any order, but yeah, that was another dickish section. Like, the spring sends you right into an enemy that bounces you backwards. And there's also pinball flippers that also bounce you backwards. No, not the spring, the dash pad. But yeah, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know that you have to run forwards really quickly because there's a row of cards there, then you can easily get caught off guard and fall to your death. Like, this level has a pretty frustrating end to it. Although, you're definitely not gonna die so much that it undoes the amount of lives that you get from it. Like, I really like how there's a level in this game where you can easily grind for lives. The convenient thing about these cannons is that you completely control where they move at any time. Like, you can move left and right, and they'll move left and right. They can't point directly downwards, of course. But these are much better than the cannons in Carnival Night Zone, where they're just a stupid timing minigame that sucked. And here you've got arrows pointing you in exactly the right direction, which also clues you into how to control them. The fact that you can control them that way. Like, those arrows are pretty convenient. God! Like, of course I got hit there. I didn't know that the enemies were going to show up. Normally when you get flung into the air like this, it's often, it's the level telling you that you might have a homing attack chain enemy coming up. But again, since you're always on the center of the camera, you practically have to react by pressing the homing attack button the instant, like before the enemies actually show up. And I always hate when this happens. Like, we really wanted these things from Spring Yard Zone back. Like, in my first... Well, I don't think I did another take of this level. But I have died to these things because I got impatient. Like they brought back the barrels from Carnival Night Zone for this level. I don't know why they did that. And they brought back the Spring Yard Zone barrels. So it's a good thing that Sonic 4 also has unique gimmicks. I don't know why I'm having such trouble with this. Like I get stuck on that flipper, and like it's so difficult for me to get to the right position where I can launch myself upwards with it. I feel like I have more control in general in this level, though. But yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to tell what you're supposed to do with the cannons to progress. Like the arrows pointing you in the right direction and stuff. So I think it's a pretty fun gimmick. Unfortunately, this is also another level that has a really annoying section at the end of it. On the Sonic 4 website, the Eggmobile has longer wings. And the same goes for Chopper, the piranha enemy. So that's kind of weird. You expect them to keep it consistent. Sure, it's a good thing I was rolling into a ball there so that I didn't get hurt by those bad enemies. Honestly, I don't like this game more than Sonic Advance 3. But, well, this is coming from someone who likes Sonic Advance 3, so that's not really a damning complaint. Like, at least Advance 3 actually has momentum and has more than 4 zones. Like, I think this is mostly a fun game to play. Like, there's only one zone that I completely hate. And even then, it's only 2/3 terrible, I guess. For the most part, this game is fun in its own way. Like, it's fast, it's enjoyable. Oh, there's a lot of complaints that, well, the speed is mostly artificial because there's dash pads and springs everywhere. It feels kind of arbitrary complaining about springs, though, considering that they've been doing that since the classic games. Sonic CD, anyone? Sonic CD's level design was all about springs. Like, there were a billion springs in Collision Chaos Zone. Oh, that's where I got crushed. Like, I thought I got crushed in the other area. But yeah, like I think I got crushed in the other area when I was replaying this level trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds. But anyways, I don't care about the dash pads being all over the place. To be honest, it's kind of hard to build up speed in the first place in this game because you gotta air dash a bunch to build up to a fast speed, which one isn't very intuitive to do in what looks like a classic style game. And two, well, you air dash constantly, but again, you're stuck in the center of the camera all the time, so you don't exactly know what's going to be ahead of you. So you might air dash a whole bunch, but how are you supposed to know that there's a long stretch of land ahead of you for you to take advantage of that added speed? And that you're not just air dashing towards a platforming section or a wall or spikes or something. Oh, this part. This part! This is easily the worst part of the level, one of the worst parts of the game. You have to be so exact. There's no arrows at all. It's like it's so inconsistent. There were arrows before, but not anymore. You got to... Usually the rings will tell you where you should shoot the cannons. Which is good level design, because like they expect you to want to get rings. And this game has a kind of ring physics where if you have a whole bunch of rings, you're going to get... Like, you're going to lose a huge amount of rings if you get hit, if you have a lot of rings when you get hit. So that's really good. It's really convenient for getting the special stages, because you got to reach the end of a level with 50 rings to get a Chaos Emerald. But that part's also cheap because like you're suddenly sent into a homing attack chain that you don't know is coming, and it's like you almost have to react to press A before they actually show up on screen. Another thing is, well, these platforms fall instantly, but that bumper, why is that bumper there? It's so easy for it to send you to death when, like, you're under time pressure because you're standing on a platform that's going to fall really quickly. Like, I died so many times. There's so many times when this final section of the level basically screwed me out of getting 50 rings by the time I beat this level. You've noticed that every act and every boss has its own unique subtitle. It's like Yoshi's Island. Like, it's nice. It's kind of wasted development time. Kind of like, how are you going to remember all of the names? But it's nice, I guess. This boss is much better than its equivalent in Sonic 2 because you can actually, like, for one, you have actual ground to stand on. You have the homing attack, and like, it's good to take advantage of these pinball flippers to attack him in the later phase. It's pretty easy to get hit when he's like this. But yeah, this is much better than its Sonic 2 equivalent. The arena, especially, is so much more forgiving. And I really like how all of the bosses have a later phase to them. Because, like, at first you think that they're just ripping off the bosses of previous games. Another thing is that, speaking of ripping off, like, people say that Sonic 4 Episode 1 is all about ripping off Sonic 1. But, like, this level is more about Casino Night Zone from Sonic 2. Lost Labyrinth is, well, I guess you could say it's a reference to Labyrinth Zone, but there's barely any water in it. It's really its own thing. Like, I guess the aesthetic could be compared to Aqua Lake Zone, except it doesn't look like the walls are made of cheddar cheese, so never mind. I guess it's more like Tidal Tempest then. So this isn't just a game released on the Wii, this is the only original WiiWare Sonic game. And it's because of the WiiWare's small file size limit that the music was so compressed. Also, that version of the game has a profile system where the player can save their progress to, with up to 6 profiles able to be created. With the other versions, they follow the profile format generation in Sonic 4 Episode 2, and you have to delete your file in order to start a new one. Why is there a spiked enemy in a homing attack chain? Like, that is always so cheap when it happens. And speaking of cheap, that enemy is cheap too. Like, why is the targeting red kill appear over it when homing attacking it will hurt you? This level is the most annoying level in the game for many reasons. It's pretty obvious why right from the start. I hate these platforms because it's a lot harder for you to just jump up at a certain time and skip going through them for a long time. Like there's more waiting involved than there was in the game when they first appeared. Like, I guess maybe because the platforms are larger, and so you can't really jump up to the platform above you very easily. This is actually the only Sonic game where you get 999 lives. Like, see, I tried to jump up to that platform, but I can't. I don't jump high enough. Like, there's a lot more waiting involved. This, like, I really like the theme of Splash Hill Zone. That is a pretty pleasant tune. And I also like the music of this level. Like, I like the mystical, awe-inspiring ruins theme that it's going for. These boulders are pretty annoying. But they're not nearly as annoying as the boulders that you stand on. And basically what you have to do when you're standing on those things, that are mandatory to progress by the way, is you constantly tap left. But it's so easy to fall even when you do that. You gotta tap right on that thing. Like, basically tap back a whole bunch. It's not very intuitive because they remind me of the barrels from Jungle Zone. And that enemy was pretty annoying. Like, it was right in the way. Even though you're trapped helpless on that thing. So it's a good thing that you can jump off and homing attack it. But I don't think this game is nearly as cheap as Advance 3 can be. Even though I mentioned cheap a whole bunch of times. Like, this is definitely not as cheap as Sonic 2, I'll give it that. But yeah, like, you can so easily fall off this boulder, and it's mandatory to progress. And believe it or not, this is the best act in the level. Like, I appreciate that there's a new gimmick. Like, in general, I don't think this level is a ripoff at all. I think this is very original. But it's just its own original crappy thing. That's its thing. It's not really a fun level to go through.